Support your chicken farmers. All right, howdy folks. Today is a pretty big day. We're gonna be getting into the field for the first time. We've been dealing with some less than ideal weather, and it looks like we're gonna have our first nice day. So hopefully the fields are gonna be dry enough, and we're gonna get in there and start to do a little bit of fertilizing. Gotta let the steed warm up for a minute. So this is kind of what we've been dealing with. The only thing that's kept us out of the field the last 2-3 days has been the ditch bottoms that are so wet. And we had some snow maybe a week ago, and when it snowed, it filled up all of the ditches, and it hasn't been warm enough to melt out that snow. So the water gets plugged up in the fields. It has nothing to do with the drainage, just the municipal ditches are full of water. So, but this is already a lot better than it was 2-3 days ago. I felt like I've driven in this field 10 times the last couple of days. So looks like it's gonna be all right. A little bit wet, but worst case scenario, we're just fertilizing today. We're not gonna be seeding. We can drive around the ditches if things get too shitty, but looks good. This is how we test soil moisture. You just lean it over, gun it a little bit, circle around to your rut. Looks good. All right, we're just about rolling out of the yard. We had a couple of things to go through this morning, a little bit of tractor stuff, and wash the windows, final touches, but we are fueled up. Cart's full of fertilizer, it's calibrated. We're just gonna do a couple of things in the field just to double check everything, and we're gonna be rolling. Fire me up. That is that dreaded snow that I was talking to you guys about this morning, plugging up the ditches. But we're looking in a lot better shape today than we were already yesterday. Just down the road, we went through and cleared a bunch of snow. We just drove one of our little tractors through the field, and not through the field, through the ditch here, just to break it up, and it looks like that worked. So we're gonna be rolling today. This is awesome. They're out here checking depth on our first pass. Everything is looking good so far. We have some stuff coming up on the blockage monitor and just junk in the pots a little bit. Everything is not quite sharpened up yet, so checking depth. It looks like we got right at about 2 inches there. Looking good. So we were 46 acres into our first fill, and I noticed I got a little bit of a problem in the back. One of the bolts is coming loose on the hydraulic motor for one of the fans, so we're gonna fix that quickly. That's not good. Much better. Needed a little bit more tools than I thought I would, but we'll keep rolling. And just as we get going, we got a plugged run, so we'll go take a look at that thing quickly. Looks, I think it was saying pot 3, run 4. I don't know why there's fertilizer on the bar there. I think that is this guy. Yeah, she's full of something. That's a tough time for the fertilizer to be able to make that jump right there. It's a little bit too flat, so maybe we gotta see if we can fix that somehow. And it looks like we've got some hose that's a little beat up. That be? Yeah, see, if it's losing air pressure right in that hose, it's not gonna have enough force to move that fertilizer across. So we're gonna have to get that fixed. Luckily I have some of this hose along. There we go. Right on. When that fertilizer gets stuck in that pipe and it's not suspended by the air, then they get plugged. Especially one like this that, like I said, has that long horizontal route to take. We'll stick this back on, get going, fill her up again. Looks like an issue. I didn't end up having the correct hose from earlier. The hoses on the fertilizer rank are 1.25 inches and the other ones are 1 inch, so that's a bit of a problem. What are we gonna do about it? Duct tape. Quality fix right there. Red Green would be proud. So I'm having another issue here. Whenever I put the drill down, there's a switch on the main frame that sends power to the main clutch on that back left wheel, and that's what turns on the metering rollers. And it's intermittent, this problem. When I put the discs down, it doesn't send power to that clutch in the back. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on. It's not working. Then it doesn't like that. I'm gonna take a look, see what's back there. I'm thinking it's gonna be some wiring issue, a bad wire somewhere. If it's intermittent like that, I had it a couple times on the last pass where then all of a sudden it just decided not to put any seed on the ground anymore. So we'll see what we can find here. So that last clip was a bit of a dictator of the next couple hours of what we were doing out here. So I went back there and I thought that it was just gonna be a rub through wire or something like that. It says a touch more. A rub through wire or something like that was power to the main clutch, and couldn't find anything. And then we looked for a relay and it wasn't the relay, so then we wired one of the tail lights to the power to the main clutch so that we could, and then my old man was driving behind me so that he could see if the power was being cut from the clutch, and that wasn't the case. And then at the end of it, then I walked up to it and just turned the chain and the whole clutch slipped. So then we took it apart, went and got this $1,400 clutch, which is an awesome little surprise, slapped it back together, and we are now back up and running. Starting pains. There's always little gremlins hiding. So while I have you guys here, I'll blabber on a little bit about what exactly we're doing. So we're applying fertilizer to corn land, and we don't have the ability to fertilize on our planter, so we have to run the seeder over it in the first place to get the fertilizer in the ground before the planter goes over it. So for instance, this particular field needs 135 pounds of nitrogen and 35 pounds of phosphate. The two kinds of fertilizer we use all granular fertilizer on our farm. We're using monoammonium phosphate, MAP, and urea. The MAP is 11% nitrogen and 52% phosphate, and the urea is just 46% nitrogen. So the way that we figure out what we need to apply is, if we have 35 pounds of P, we need 67 pounds of monoammonium phosphate to achieve that P level, because only 52% of that 67 pounds is actually P, so we need that extra stuff, that filler. Nothing is ever pure fertilizer. And because the MAP application is 11% nitrogen, we're also getting 8 pounds of N out of that monoammonium phosphate application. That leaves us needing another 127 pounds of nitrogen to meet this field's requirements. We need another 127 pounds of N. We need 276 pounds of urea. This is all per acre, by the way. And now you're wondering that we have our fertilizer in our tank, how do we set it up? There's 3 bins on our air cart. The middle one is the smallest, that's the one that the MAP goes into. Because it is the smallest grade, we need the least of it. And the other 2 tanks are both for urea. I'm trying to turn around here. So the rear tank holds 10,000 pounds of urea and the front tank only holds 7,500. So the total amount of urea on board is around 17,500 pounds. So you're probably wondering how we balance it in the air cart so that our fertilizers all run out at roughly the same time. Considering we have 10,000 pounds in the rear and 7,500 in the front, we have a total amount of 17,500 pounds of urea in the cart while we're driving down, or I guess on a full fill, we have 17,500 pounds of urea on board. 10,000 pounds in the rear is 57% of that 1,750, and the front 7,500 pounds is 43%. Now, we have to balance the rates of those 2 bins as well. 57% of the 276 pounds per acre that we need to get the fertilizer requirements is 157 pounds per acre, and the remaining 43% of the 276 pound application of urea is 119 pounds. So that's how we're balancing out our cart. We want it to all run out at the exact same time. And in terms of placement, we're putting it at about 2 to 2¼ inches underneath the soil surface. That is deeper than you would put your seed, but that's where you want it. I won't get into the whole placement thing right now. I'll get into that into another video maybe. But you will notice that I'm traveling at a 12-degree angle. Normally we'd be running it at 0. That's how we do all of our seeding. But considering that we're just fertilizing and we're going to be coming in here with the planter afterwards, and that thing is going to be running straight north-south, we don't want one of those corn seed rows to land right on top of the urea. That causes seedling toxicity and it actually hurts the plant. Now you can say that you learned a little something at least, and we're going to check out some drone footage now. A little bit less of me talking.
I might bring them Brooklyn niggas out on all the stores. I might bring them strippers out and tell them do it for us. You already know, ain't around.
Alright, well hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I took a couple of close calls with the drone. I almost hit the roof of the tractor that one shot. Whatever, that's all good. I've crashed that drone for some good footage, so that wraps up the field today. We only got 150 acres done with all the starting pains and more stopping than I would like, but it's the way it goes. Hopefully tomorrow will be better. We're pretty much heading back to the yard now, just down the road, and got a couple things to tie up on this machine before she goes out tomorrow, but that should be it for the day. Thanks for stopping in and watching the video, and more to come. Cheers.